Manx Radio Sport.
A very good evening and welcome to Friday Sport Preview on Manx Radio on a sunny April evening on the Isle of Man. I'm Rob Pritchard, here with you until 6:30pm. Let's take a look at the sporting action taking place on Ireland this weekend. Well, coming up tonight, Peel will be looking to maintain their strong control over the Canada Life Men's Premier League and a repeat of last weekend's Woods Cup final in the latest round of Manx football fixtures. In rugby, Vagabonds Ladies are looking to end their season on a high across the water tomorrow, whilst it's D-Day domestically in the Ravenscroft Manx Cup. And in hockey, the IoM Ladies squad could be just one victory away from a National Cup final as they face an exciting challenge in UK competition. That is all to come this evening. Starting with football then, and after an entertaining weekend over Easter with cup fixtures taking place and silverware won left, right and centre, we return to the big matter of league fixtures taking place this weekend. And it's been a tough one for league fixtures throughout the week. All the games on Tuesday and Wednesday called off due to the poor weather, but it seems to be abating. I don't want to curse it this evening, but it looks like we may just, Tony Mepham, have a full programme of fixtures this weekend. Fingers crossed.
It's looking that way, Rob. It wasn't good Tuesday, Wednesday, was it? When everything just opened up and it just wrecked the pitches water-wise. But I'm glad to say that the drainage seems to have taken a lot of it away. Yes, some will be a bit soft, but good heat out there at the moment, Rob. So hopefully that'll sort it out. And we do have a game going tonight, which is brilliant news for us because the Premier League has just fallen a little bit behind. And when you look at the league table, with Corinthians still only played 16 games, so they still get 8 to play. There's an awful lot of football to come up, but as long as the weather stays sound and we got a full programme on next week, then we got midweek games Tuesday, Wednesday then, and we're probably near enough, Rob, going to have night games Tuesday, Wednesday then, right the way through to the end of May.
Fingers crossed we can get all those games on. And do you know what? I've waited months to say this. Friday night football, as you've just alluded to. Corinthians, of course, many games in hand trying to chase down Peel at the top of the Premier League. They are away at St John's tonight. This could be an interesting one.
Well, it could be because they played each other, wasn't it, a couple of weeks ago, and St John's took that early lead through Dean Leese, but it was Corinthians, it was a quarter-final of the Cup who sort of got it right in the end, and then 3 good goals. Danny Gerrard with 1, Ashton Canson as well with a goal, and it was just a good finish for them, and a lot of confidence, I think, in the camp after last week's Cup result, because, you know, Peel were the favourites, and it showed, but they stuck to the task. I think Ben Coulter was delighted with the way that the team just kept chipping away. They had to change things around after the first 10 minutes, but I think a great goal finished it off in the end because Peel took the lead, rightly so, with the chances that they'd had, but then it was Jay Chatwood who got the equaliser, and then a good performance by him when he set up the winner, and no Kane Riding, I don't think, tomorrow, or tonight I should say, because I think he dislocated his shoulder for the second time in 2 or 3 weeks, and he'll sit this one out, but yeah, good performance by them. St John's have got good players as well, Callum Taggart and, as we said, Dean Leese before, the 2 main players up front, but midfield as well work hard. Defensively, I think Sam Ingham and also Will Penhunrick will hold it together, but I'm going to go for Corinthians. I've seen their team, it's pretty strong, and I think Ronan McDonald's included in it as well, and that's a big plus for them.
He's in the FC Isle of Man squad this weekend.
Has he been drafted in?
McDonald, he has indeed. The
I
team
saw him on the sheet for tonight.
So, well, there could be a bit.
It could be.
It could be a bit of a balancing act. We'll wait to see. Well, that game between St John's and Corinthians kicking off tonight at 7 p.m. Then we move into Saturday, the usual smattering of league fixtures, all kicking off at 2:30 p.m. with the exception of one, which we'll get to. We'll start in the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and 2 teams battling towards the bottom. St George's, they're at home at Glencrutchery Road to Douglas High School Old Boys.
Yeah, and I think this one, I'm going to go for St George's to win it, but I've heard that 1 or 2 players might be missing for them. I don't know who it is, Rob, and we'll wait and see, but certainly Old Boys know that they need to try and get some points from somewhere because they're slipping away a little bit. Onken are just above them in that league, but if St George's could get 3 here, that puts them on 20, then 11 points behind. I just don't see Old Boys getting close to that to try and stay in this Canada Life Premier League, so I'd have to go for St George's to take the points.
And then out west, and it's the current league leaders Peel up against a Marown side who, well, they seem to sort of turn on the style a bit against the teams towards the top. So this is not a dead cert for Peel, is it?
Yeah, I think that's a bit frustrating for Keir Morris and also David Brew, the management team at Marown, because when they're on it, Moran are a good side, and I've watched them a couple of times this year. But Peel will be disappointed with the way it went for them last Saturday, because the team was there. Lee Gale played, and you've got other quality players in there, and it just didn't quite happen for them. But certainly against Peel, they know they're not frightened of them. But I think Peel know that one trophy's gone. They don't want another one to go, and they'll win it.
Very well, then down south at Croyt Lowy, Russian United up against an Onken team who also have still a couple of games in hand as well, don't they?
They do, and Onken have got a battle away. They've played 16, the same as Corinthians, and they need maximum points as well. But Russian, always a difficult place to go to, and Russian will want to finish up as high up in the league as they can for the 22-23 season. They're fourth at the moment. I think it's doable for them, and that's why I'm going to go for Russian to win.
And then over to Bala Fletcher, Douglas Royal, and they'll be hosting Ramsey.
Yeah, and I think, Ramsey, again, have got some really good players in there. They've been playing well midfield, defensively, attack as well. They've got quality right the way through. As well with Douglas Royal, I think there's one or two players back in for them tomorrow. Again, no team news, but just rumour. And that just might make a little bit of a difference for Douglas Royal. I don't think they're going to take any involvement in the drop, but they're still in a dangerous position, so they need to try and get something out of it. They've got an opportunity here, but I think it'll be the away side that'll get the result.
Very well, and then rounding off the Canada Life Men's Premier League this weekend over at Gary Moore, it's Union Mills, and they're going to be hosting Ayr United.
Yeah, and Union Mills, every time I meet someone who plays for Union Mills, Rob, they keep saying, well, when are you playing the Railway Cup? Well, we thought we might have got a game out of the way on Tuesday. It was St John's have got Ramsey and Moran to play, but we didn't, so we're still sort of on hold on that one. So they've just got to keep chipping away. Ayr United have sort of dropped down a little bit, and that's why I'm going to go for Union Mills to take the points.
Very well, let's move on and have a quick look through the other divisions, starting with DPS Limited Division 2. Games kicking off at 2:30pm across the leagues, as I mentioned, but there is one here that is an early kick-off, and it is a repeat of the Woods Cup final.
Yeah, and it was a good game, this one, Rob, and it's just a shame. I don't know if you saw how the scoring went, but Castletown were doing very well, but then conceded those 2 goals at the end, and it cost them. I know that Castletown still 1 or 2 sort of players missing through injury, I think. St Mary's have probably got a full-strength squad, and that's what I think will be the difference. 1:45 kick-off at the Bowl, St Mary's to win.
And the other games in that league all kicking off at 2:30. We have Michael United versus Braddon, Douglas Athletic versus Governors Athletic, and also Douglas and District versus Ramsey Youth Centre. Yeah,
Michael and Braddon's going to be good to watch, because Michael are second, Braddon are third. They're both on 15 games, but Braddon are 5 points behind them, and I think that shows you what sort of quality Michael have got. Michael are going really well in front of goal, so Michael to win. Athletic against Governors, always a battle between these two, and both of them struggling down at the bottom of the table, but I think Athletic have got enough to win that. And Douglas and District against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. Ramsey Youth Centre in 4th in this league, so they should have enough firepower, I think, to get the goals to take the points away from D&D.
Very well, then we look to the Combination League, starting with Canada Life Combination 1. We have a busy schedule there, 5 games this weekend. Yeah,
we do, and Moran against Peel, you have to go for Peel to win that. Onken against Russian. Russian will receive the trophy next Wednesday, because they've already wrapped that up. Congratulations on winning the Canada Life Combination 1. Corinthians against St John's. I think St John's will prove a little bit too strong for Corinthians. St John's have done really well in this league, 3rd at the moment, and I think that's where they're going to finish. Ramsey against Douglas Royal. I'm going to go for Ramsey to win that. And Ayr United against Union Mills. I think Ayr have got enough quality to take the points in that.
And it's an equally busy schedule in DPS Limited Combination 2, 5 games there as well.
Yeah, it is, and it's a lot of games to play in this league as well. So Castletown against St Mary's. St Mary's, they're going to win it. They need some points here, so I think they will. Foxdale against Pulrose. Good battle. Just had a pitch inspection at Foxdale's pitch, looking good, so the game should go on. I think Foxdale will just sneak it. Braddon against Michael, going to go for Braddon. Maloo against Jims, I think Maloo will be too strong. And Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against D&D. I think they've got enough quality there, Ramsey Youth Centre, to take maximum points.
Those are your fixtures for Saturday. We have 4 fixtures taking place on Sunday. 3 out of 4 of those are, in fact, cup games. We'll start with the first one of them, the Canada Life Women's FA Cup first round, 2 o'clock kick-off, Maloo versus Onken.
Yeah, this one's was played and then it was abandoned, unfortunately. Maloo's goalkeeper, nasty neck injury. I think she's okay now, so you've got to go for Onken just to win it. I think they were leading 1-0 when it was abandoned, but it was too early to not replay the game. The other one, Canada Life Women's League, Douglas Royal against Corinthians. Corinthians will be presented with the Canada Life Women's League trophy on Sunday, so I'll go for Corinthians to win. And then looking at the Masters, Rob, when you're saying that Corinthians against Laxey in that cup game, that's a quarter-final game because we fell a little bit behind on this one. Close game. I think, it's going to be a real good battle between the two teams. Just depends what quality Laxey have got out. But Corinthians had a good result last time. Just go for them to win it. And in the other game, which is Douglas Royal against Onken, it's a semi-final. Two of the big teams in the Masters. I'm going to go for Douglas Royal just to sneak it.
Well, those are your fixtures taking place on Saturday and Sunday. Well, we've got around 2 or 3 minutes here, so just very quickly. Today, the Isle of Man FA announced the Isle of Man women's national squad that will be taking part in the 2023 Ireland Games in Guernsey from the 8th to the 14th of July. Some comments already from the team's manager, Wayne Lissy, and he said with the quality that is in this squad, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be aiming for gold in this competition. I mean, Tony, do you agree about the quality that's in this women's team? Can they go on and claim a top spot over in Guernsey?
Yeah, I would agree because the women's team have always done well in the Island Games, and when you look at when they played in Innismore recently, they won the gold. That was a while ago, and I think Wayne knows he's blessed with a lot of quality. There's good experience in there, and also there's some good youth, and it's quality youth. So I think Wayne's taking the squad of 18 because, there's not as many games as the men's football. But I think he knows that he's got a great chance here to win it. They've got a lot of games, pre-games coming up before the Island Games. One against Accrington Stanley, which is going to be a belter on the 30th of April. But yeah, I think they win gold.
We'll have to wait and see. Best of luck to them in a few months' time. Well, also taking place this weekend is what could be quite the fixture in the NWCFL Premier Division. An in-form FC Isle of Man. They have 3 wins on the bounce. They are facing promotion chasers Bury AFC at the Bowl at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And Bury with a huge contingent of away support here on the Isle of Man. Hundreds making the journey to Manx shores for this game. Could be quite the atmosphere down at the Bowl on Saturday. And if you're not heading down there to watch the action in person, we're at Manx Radio will have you covered. Myself and Tony Mepham providing full live match commentary of FC Isle of Man versus Bury AFC 6 p.m. on Saturday on Manx Radio AM 1368 and digital. Tony, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be catching up with you tomorrow. So now we are going to take a look at rugby, and the final game of the season awaits for Vagabonds Ladies this weekend as they look to round off their strong women's NC1 Northwest campaign in the best possible way. They face third place Halifax tomorrow afternoon and could leapfrog their opponents into a top 3 spot with the right result. Meanwhile, it's a pivotal time for the Ravenscroft Manx Cup tomorrow, which will decide which teams are battling for which piece of silverware in the coming weeks. Taking a look, as ever, at the action to come is Dave Christian.
We'll start with Vagabonds Ladies. It is their final game of the season. They've got a great opportunity for a third-place finish, which I think we've discussed in previous weeks. Third place, not ideal. You're outside of the promotion places, but... and there's a big but here, there's a big leap up in the next division, and they'd have to be travelling all the way across to the east coast of England, playing teams from, I think, Darlington are in there for one, and there's a couple of Yorkshire sides as well. So really the step up may be just a little bit too much. So a third place finish would be absolutely fantastic for them. It means that they get the top end of the table without having the misery of the travel next season. It's also the final game for Vagabonds veteran forward Corinna Daly. She's going to be hanging up her boots, at least so she says. I've heard a lot of people say that, and they always continue to pop up for a game or two. But Corinna been a great servant for the club, as has her sister Jackie. Jackie left, moved to the Channel Islands a couple of seasons back, but Corinna's still there, playing the back row. That's where she was most effective, but they've been using her in the front row recently. She gets a start this week at loosehead prop, and there'll be Jess Swales and Maisie Murray there making up the front row with her. Natalie Bush normally on the tight head. Natalie ran a half marathon in London last weekend and not obviously been training over the week, so she'll come off the bench, and it's a good bench they have too. Also some changes in the back line. Joe McCabe's going to come in at scrum half, and Sammy McDonald will go out to replace Chloe Dillon on the wing. Natalie Bush on the bench, as we said. Hayley Coots there as well, and Hayley Coots, one of the Cheshire County players, been with Sale Sharks Ladies. She'll give some extra power if she gets on the field. field and may make it a difficult day for Halifax. Halifax won the game at Ballafletcher 39-22. They are in third place at the minute, but if Vaggers win with a bonus point, they'll climb above Halifax, particularly if they can deny Halifax a bonus point as well. And I think there's a reasonable chance they'll put up a good performance there. The games with Halifax have been, over the past few seasons, traditionally very close. There was a 5-all draw. There was a 2-pointer, I think, last season. Tomorrow, well, hopefully they'll finish on a high, and particularly for Corinna Daly, she'll definitely want a memorable finale. In the Ravenscroft Manx Cup, it is a round 3 D-Day. The results will determine who plays off for the Manx Cup and Plate on Finals Day, which is next Saturday, the 22nd of April, at Portashee. At the moment, mathematically at least, all 4 teams are capable of booking a cup final berth, so it's going to be a little bit of a nail-biter. However, when you dig below the headline, pre-tournament favourites, no doubt Douglas, they're 2 from 2, top of the table, and they just need 1 point from their game at Vagabonds to guarantee a place in the final, irrespective of other results. The others, not quite so clear. Southern Nomads probably the clearest. They've played 2, lost 2. They have, however, picked up a bonus point. If they can beat Ramsey tomorrow and score 4 or more tries and prevent Ramsey from scoring 4 tries or finishing within 7, it could give Nomads an edge. They'd also need Douglas to beat Vagabonds, however, with Vagabonds picking up no bonus points. Ramsey and Vagabonds, their permutation's a little bit more complicated. There's a whole host of different scenarios which could see either of them get a place in the final. It's probably not worth exploring them too much and look perhaps more at the games themselves. Douglas, the side to beat, they've been able to rest some key players so far as well. Bryn Snellgrove, Guy Wood, Neil Killier have all been playing little backup or cameo roles. John Dutnell from the back row has led the side very well on the field. I seen Brendan Kelly against Nomads. He looked impressive in the centres. His goal kicking up to the mark as well. But, and it's a big but here, this is an old firm Isle of Man game, Douglas and Vagabonds. There doesn't get much more of an intense rivalry than this. Mark Oldfield for Vagabonds is a proper warrior, and the front 5 is pretty solid in the set piece, so Douglas are going to have to work to grind them down. On paper, though, they should win, but just that lure of the oldest Isle of Man derby, the Douglas Vagabonds game, might just give Vagabonds a little bit of a boost. The other game, which is the game we'll be featuring on Saturday Live, is down at Ballakillia Park in Port Erin. Southern Nomads are hosting Ramsey. They ran them pretty close in the Cheshire Bowl earlier this season, 24-19 the final score. Nomads are solid in the forwards, but can get around the park as well, and they've got a great backline. The likes of Tony Quinn, Tom Collister in there, Will Tazier if he's playing, and an experienced set of halfbacks with George Collister and Mark Young. Nomads have definitely got a team that's going to be difficult to beat. Ramsey, though, they've had a few injury worries. Dan Richmond, Kieran Neal being out injured. Richmond's going to make his return tomorrow. Kieran Neal doesn't, however. He's going to be replaced in the centre by Nathan Brew. Finton Cummins, who's been the form player for Ramsey in the cup game so far, he's going to be rested. He picked up a bang on the head against Vagabonds last week, and they're just going to rest him to make right for the final, whichever final they're in. Remember, the top 2 in the league phase will play off in the Manx Cup, and the 3rd and 4th place teams will play off in the Manx Plate. Should be good kickoffs for both matches at 2:15. So that's Vagabonds versus Douglas at Ballafletcher and Southern Nomads versus Ramsey at Ballakillia. Vagabonds Ladies at Halifax slightly earlier. That's due to travel constraints, and that game away at Halifax kicks off at 1:30.
Manx Radio Sport.
And rounding things off tonight, a big weekend awaits for the Isle of Man ladies hockey squad, who could be just 1 win away from booking their place in a National Cup final. The Manx side travel to face Repton on Saturday in the semi-finals of the England Hockey Women's Tier 2 Knockout Championships. It could see them come up against Isle of Man Under-21 Sportswoman of the Year and Repton player Sienna Dunn in a potentially exciting contest. I spoke earlier to Manx Radio's hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham to get his thoughts on how good an experience this weekend's contest could be.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big challenge ahead of them, but it's a challenge that I'm sure they'll definitely put a good, effort into, and it'd be great to see them come back with the trophy. I believe that Repton have got Sienna Dunn playing for them this weekend, so that's going to be a big test for them to see if they can overcome Sienna Dunn and her team to potentially cause an upset.
What have been the key strengths, do you think, of this Isle of Man ladies team that's helped them get to this point?
It's the way they've been training, really. A lot of their training has been based around on what they need to work on and what they know they need to do to overcome the teams that they've faced in the process building up to this. But I think they've just absolutely nailed everything on the head and exactly made sure that they worked on exactly what they needed to get the wins.
And in terms of personnel for that ladies team, if it is quite a tightly contested contest, which I think a lot of people will expect it to be, who could be the real game changers there for the Isle of Man?
All of them are going to make a real good statement in the fact that, they've earned their place in the island team to represent the island. There's so many names there on the team sheet that could be the key player to potentially get the success out of it. But I think all of them have done so well, and all of them are going to be absolute stars at the weekend representing the island.
And if they were to make it to the final, even regardless of what would happen in the final, if they did progress there, just how big a statement is it from Manx hockey as a whole? We've seen the junior teams really excelling in their competitions, and to see the senior ladies team doing the same, if they can do that, just what would it mean?
Oh, it'd make a massive statement for hockey and hockey on the island. I mean, it was great to see Sienna Dunn get crowned at the Sports Awards just a few weeks ago for hockey, and it's going to make such a huge statement. And I mean, our junior team as well, the under-16s, they went on to win their final. So it's a massive, massive opportunity for our senior ladies, and let's hope they can do it and match our young under-16s.
Manx Radio Sport.
So we have time for on Friday Sport Preview this time around. Many thanks to my guests this week, Tony Mepham, Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham. Have yourself a wonderful weekend wherever you are on the Isle of Man. But from here, until next time, it's bye for now.